Hi everyone, Stepan here. In today's video I'm going to go over the worst game I played at the last tournament and the one I'm most ashamed to show. But what can you do? Okay, in our correspondence game I have made the move and you can find it in the community tab. You can vote for your next move there. Okay, so after having won in round 2 and lost in rounds 1 and 3 to higher rated opponents, in round 4 I faced a lower rated opponent again, and that's how it goes in Swiss systems. If you are 1900 or 2000, you play a very strong opponent in the first round, then if you lose you play a very weak opponent in the second round, then if you lose the third, that goes on. So in round 4 I faced the 1700 player, and in my prep I saw that he plays the Trompovsky, he plays d4, and he plays the Trompovsky against knight f6, he plays the London system against d5. And in the database there's one game of mine in which I played the early c5 queen b6 idea against the London system, so I didn't want to do that. So I came back to what I used to play against the London system, which is symmetrical with bishop f5, a system which I like and know pretty well, which I've played for 2 years. So I decided to do that. Couldn't find any games of his against that, so I just prepared generally, trying to brush up my knowledge on the variation because I haven't played it in a long time. So d4, d5, knight f3, knight f6, bishop f4, bishop f5. And after e3, e6, white is faster to put pressure on this diagonal than black is to put on this one, because he is to move. And sometimes after c3 there could be some annoying pressure with queen b3, bishop b5, and even the positions in which white plays the move queen b3, black is forced to play the move queen b6, and then c5 is played, can be unfavorable for black because white then has the b4 b5 idea to break up the pawn structure. So I'm talking about c4 and then queen b3, black plays c6, queen b6, and then c5, black is forced to take, and then that's a hard position to play. So I didn't want to get into any of that. I've studied the positions well enough that day to make sure that I don't. So c3, bishop d6, challenging the bishop immediately. He took, I think it's way more common to retreat the bishop to g3. Perhaps not in this exact position. I'm not that familiar with the London system for white, but he could probably retreat as well. He took, queen takes, and now queen b3. And now I know this position, or I knew it before the game, and I can play knight b7, allow this, and this is supposed to be much better for black, but I never seem to know why. I'm sorry, let's say he takes here. I never seem to know why, and I couldn't remember during the game why this position is bad for white, so I didn't want to go for that. Well, for the moment the knight is hanging, but I think that can be defended. So after queen b3, since I wanted to play c5 anyway, I played the move b6, which is also very slightly better for black, or at least an equal position. Knight bd2, knight bd7, bishop e2, h6, I want to stop him from taking my bishop, I want to be able to retreat, and he played h3, which I don't think is a necessary move. I don't know what threat he was stopping with h3, I would have much preferred castling if I were him. So now I decided to sort of use the moment that he played a slow move and played knight e4. After knight e4 I'm equal. If anybody is better it should be black, because I have a better knight than his knight. He can exchange that, so basically it should be equal, but once I get c5, rook c8 in and castle, I could have more prospects than him. And here he played c4, which I like. I played knight e4 and aggressive reaction was necessary. Castling would probably be too slow, I would just play c5. And now I had three options. The first one was just castles, keeping the tension in the center. The second one was c5 immediately, and after, let's say, dc5, bc5, knight e4, bishop e4, the position is fine for black, although I don't like the fact that I'm going to have hanging pawns in the center, most probably, which is going to be hard to play with against rook c1 and rook d1. And his other option after c5 would be cd, and after ed, knight e4, d4, knight d2, castles. Once again, I'm not sure that I like this pawn structure that much. I don't like the fact that my e5 pawn is overextended, but the position should be slightly better for black. Instead of all of that, I decided to play c6, which is an equally good move. I've looked at the game with an engine afterwards. I was really upset. So c6, not necessarily to be able to recapture on d5 with the c pawn, but to solidify my pawn structure, sort of. And I didn't know if he was going to take. I didn't know if I was going to capture with the c pawn or with the e pawn. I just wanted to give myself that option, and I thought it was a good move, and it was. cd5, and now I had a long think. If I take with the c pawn, knight e4, bishop e4, rook c1, castles. If anybody is better, it should be white now. I really don't like the fact that he already has the c file. I can challenge it, but we are always going to have tension on it. The bishop could come to b5, the knight could come to e5, and I thought that this would allow him to equalize. And worse than that, I figured that after c takes d5, the position would be completely equal, and I have to win because he is lower rated. So I took with the e pawn. And the engine, as it turns out, says that this is the better option. That it was better to take with the e pawn. Okay, castles. He played rook a to c1, and I played rook a to c8. And now after rook a to c8, you can see that white is going to start having pressure along the c file, and especially on my c6 weakness. That is why after rook a to c1, perhaps I should have played c5 immediately, because I have time to play it. And after c5, knight e4, d4, knight d2, let's say cd4, knight c4, black should be just better. I mean, I don't see what he does here after c5. If he does nothing, I'm going to play c4, so I think that he has to either take the knight or take the pawn. So let's say knight e4, which is supposed to be the best move. D takes e4. I could also take with the bishop, but this forces matters, and I can actually win a pawn because my knight is defended. So the variation I was looking at is knight d2, cd4, knight c4, queen d5, e d4, queen d4, and now rook d2 f1 doesn't work because of queen f6. And if knight d6, I have knight c5. So this would be just better. A pawn up, 6 pawns against 5. And the second option I was looking at after rook a to c1 is knight df6, simply redefending my knight, and after knight e4, knight e4. Now rook f to d1 and rook a to c8. If he now goes rook to c2, then I think I have enough time to defend everything. I don't think there should be any problems with this. The only problem I have is the e5 square, but I always have the tempo on the rook with my knight, and perhaps even rook c2 is a bad move. I didn't know all of that at the time. But after rook a c1, I figured that I shouldn't be spending too much time, that after rook a to c8 I probably will have time to play c5 eventually. The plan wasn't to keep the pawn on c6, I wanted to play c5. But now after knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, knight d2, I made a bad decision. I probably should have retreated my bishop immediately. Instead of that, I played knight f6, figuring that my knight is going to be better than his bishop. But now, instead of taking or doing anything else, he played rook c3 immediately. And now the position is getting hard to play. I found a plan. I was going to play bishop f5, bishop d7. That's what happened, in fact. Bishop f5, rook f to c1, and now bishop d7. And everything is defended sufficiently. In fact, I can bring my pawn to the e file, bring my rook to the e file. I don't need to have it defending the c6 pawn. And now trouble came. Queen c2, a triple attack, and threatening to play e4. So I have to play rook f to e8 to stop that. And now a3, which doesn't do much. And now a mistake, a move which I shouldn't have played. I wanted to stop e4 permanently, so I played knight e4. And after knight e4, rook e4, bishop d3, now I blundered and got a lost position. Which is just bad, because I completely missed his move. So my idea was, okay, let's checkmate him. So I played rook h4. If he'd played anything else but his move, I probably would have just taken and went for the attack. I'm not sure if it works, but Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I would have calculated. But the point is, I have an aggressive rook. I can perhaps continue with g5, g4. But when he played his next move, I wanted to resign immediately. The only reason I didn't resign is that he is lower rated than me. Okay, if you want to pause the video to find the best move for white, pause the video. The move is bishop f5. And now he's simply removing my defender. There's nothing I can do to defend c6. This I completely missed. This position is losing for black. After a long think, I took the bishop. If I play bishop h5, then bishop d7, queen d7, and simply rook c6. If I play the move c5, that's no better. dc5, bc5, bishop d7, queen d7, rook c5. In any case, I'm going to end up a pawn down with two weak, isolated pawns, and it's going to be game over. So in the game, I took queen f5, and now rook c7. That's the worst thing about exchanging the bishops is that my rook is loose, and that I don't have time to play c5. If I had time to play c5, then no problem. But since I have to play rook c7, now after queen c2, I'm losing the pawn. And now I found what I thought was the best option. c5, dc5, bc5, at least opening up my rook. Rook c5, and now I have to exchange because I'm hanging mate. In many positions I have to... I can perhaps play rook c4, but I figured this was better. Rook c5, queen c5. And now I finally can decline a trade, so queen e5. And now the madness begins. You're probably not going to believe what happened at the end of this game. So keep on watching. This was my biggest... this was my luckiest game ever since I've started playing chess. And usually what happened to him, this game happens to me in a slightly different way. So here he is a pawn up, he should just convert. And I have nothing. I have no tricks. The position is completely lost. Rook c8 check. King h7. Now we do a lot of maneuvering. I decline, queen trades, give some spite checks, and here here I played the move f5. The reason I played f5, firstly because after queen takes d5 my rook is defended and I don't have to exchange the queens. I can get my queen to f6 and all that. The main reason was that sometimes in the future I want to play f4, and I want to play f4 to create some complications. If I manage to get f4 in, it might be complicated. So we have queen takes d5, queen f6, b4, and now rook e5. And yeah, a funny thing happened here. I play rook e5, and he touches his d1 rook. Not just touches, he picks it up and puts it back down. And I've never asked for the referee to come ever, but this time I have. The referee comes over. And the guy says, I said Jadub, and he really didn't say Jadub, at least before touching the piece. I didn't hear him say it after either. Anyway, the judge rules in his favor, says he cannot prove anything, I cannot prove anything, and I say, fine, yeah, okay. What can you do? I tried. I mean, I didn't deserve to win this game, so he probably didn't want to move his rook, it was probably a reflex, and I was sorry that I called the judge later on. So anyway, here we had to pause the clocks, we got irritated, both of us, and I was already really upset that I was losing the game. So that's sort of the scene. So queen d7, the judge allows him to move his queen. Rook e7, I'm just declining trades, I mean, there's nothing more I can do. And after queen takes a7, I play the move f4. After f4, he should take probably. I'm not sure what the best move is, but I would take. And take, and you can be certain that you're not getting checkmated. In fact, let's see what the engine says. Yeah, just take. Okay. Instead of that, he played rook d1. After rook d1, I knew I was losing, but I thought I could win this game, if that makes sense. So I played the trickiest move, f3. He cannot take, obviously, he's threatened with checkmate, he has to play g3. And now, I was looking at two variations. The first one I was really happy about was queen c2. After queen c2, queen d4, I was going to take on e3. After rook takes e3, he cannot take with the pawn because checkmate, so he has to take with the queen. I take on d1, Now I'm still a pawn down, but perhaps there are some checks. Probably not, probably losing. And this is the position which I saw, and I saw that he can just do nothing, probably just push his pawns, and what I have nothing. So after g3 I found a trickier move, but I think a worse move. I played the move queen f5, and now I have a trick. By the way, at this point I have 8 minutes left, he has 18. I have a trick. I want to take on h3, and if I take on h3, and he doesn't take my f3 pawn, I'm going to checkmate him. And before playing queen f5, I saw the move queen b7. After queen b7, it's all over. If I take, he just takes on f3. If I now play queen c2, then I think simply... No, wait, what about... Yeah, maybe just queen d7, defending the rook, and that should be it. No, because now this works. Okay, wait, I have to turn on the engine for this one. I figured that queen b7 was the best move. And after queen c2, yeah, after queen c2 he doesn't have to defend his rook, he can just attack my position. Okay. So, after queen f5, he didn't do that. He played a very bad move. He played king h2. And now, the move isn't bad in itself. It's bad because it allows further counterplay. Now all of a sudden, if he moves the queen, there's rook e3 and my pawn advancing. And I have the immediate queen c2. And now what he should do, and there's only one move in this position, I'm threatening checkmate after queen f2 check, king h1, queen g2 checkmate. And I'm threatening the rook. There's no way to defend both. The only move is rook f1. And now after rook f1, something like queen e2, king g1, rook g6. Now threatening checkmate once again. Queen c7 defending that, and it's all over. There's nothing here for black. You can see that the position is busted, +4 for white. After queen c2 though, after about 30 seconds, he played the move queen d4, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack. He immediately resigned after queen d4. Of course, it's a mate in 2, unstoppable. And it was a huge sigh of relief for me, and a huge feeling of wanting to throw up for having to record this video. And in the end, I won the game, which I should have lost. I played like a moron in the middle game. And yeah, I mean, I was lucky. I suppose that's fair. That you are unlucky sometimes and lucky sometimes. So yeah, this was my round 4 game. A horrible game against a weaker opponent, and definitely a game that should have ended in a defeat, which I won in the end. Let me know what you think. By the way, go to the community tab once more to vote for the daily move in our correspondence game. If you would like extra content and to support me, please visit the link in the description below. Thank you very much, and I hope you liked the video and the bad game, and stay tuned for more chess. Bye bye.